started in Chicago with Caleb Williams. Also, J.J. McCarthy on the field for the first time as a starter. Find out why he says he's ready for the pressure of being the face of the franchise. A lot of quarterback talk in this show, okay? But we're going to also focus on defense winning championships, and that's why we have Marcus Spears and Louis Riddick here. We're also going to be joined by Ryan Clark, Booger McFarland a little bit later on, so don't worry. The defense is well represented, you guys. Did I miss the wave sweat? Oh, there it is. Oh, okay, thank you. You're on mute, but we read your lips. You said, Boogie, there's the wave. We're going to begin with some news, though, you guys. The NFL fined the Falcons $250,000 and defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich $100,000 for failing to prevent the disclosure of confidential information distributed to the club in advance of the NFL draft, all because, of course, the prank call to Shedeur Sanders, which Ulbrich's son was involved in. Here's more from Ulbrich, who spoke today.
My actions of not protecting confidential data were inexcusable. My son's actions were absolutely inexcusable. And for that, we are both deeply sorry. The NFL has taken action, and I fully respect the punishment. It's hard because those people should be celebrated in these moments, and they probably weren't as much as they should have been.
Louis, there's so many different conversations that have happened around this. I think we all agree that what happened was unacceptable. But I guess to push it forward, how is this still happening? How is there not a way to control this a little bit better, Lou?
Yeah, Laura, I mean, I don't really know if there is a way. Well, one of the ways in which you can control this kind of thing in Jeff's specific case is for him to be more careful as far as who has access to his own personal computer. And make sure that, I guess, even people who are his own, immediate family don't have access to it, and they can't even see it. Although, look, I mean, to be quite honest with you, if I was in that same situation as Jeff Ulbrich in particular, since that's the one we're talking about and the one that's getting most of the coverage, the last thing I would expect is for my son, who understands my own journey, one, as a player, two, as an assistant coach, three, over top of it all, as his father, the last thing I would expect would be for him to violate that kind of like familial trust and then try to use that information to kind of just, play a joke on someone in one of the most important days of their lives. So I don't really, look, I feel bad for Jeff Ulbrich, quite honestly. Look, obviously he could have done maybe a better job at protecting that information, but at the same time, he shouldn't be the one who's up there having the answer for those actions right there, or rather what took place. His son at 21 years old should be up there having the answer for that, because those are the kind of things that I think as a family, as a father with a son, you would trust that he would understand that this is something that is to be respected, not something that is to be trivialized or diminished in any kind of way for the sake of you like having some fun and trying to like play a prank on someone. It really is out of line, out of touch. I think overall, I mean, obviously the NFL probably is now, and teams in particular now are going to really, really safeguard these numbers, these individual numbers of the potential prospects, and only have very few have access to it, like namely an owner, a head coach, and the general manager, and that's about it. Because otherwise, I mean, these are the kind of things that you run the risk of happening, and they're just unacceptable. They really are.
We also found out today that Abdul Carter was another victim of a prank call. So, again, Louis, very well said there. Just got to clean that up. Can't happen. Let's get to this related to the draft. Matt Miller releasing his top 100 picks today on ESPN.com. He evaluated all of the players taken and the value that teams got out of them based on where they were picked. You can see the top 15 picks are going to be on the board. We'll show you there. That's the article that you just saw there on ESPN.com. Shedeur Sanders at 10 overall. Let's welcome in Matt here. Matt, take us through your top 5 picks. Let's start with number 5.
Yeah, number 5, one of my favorite players in the entire draft was Jaylen Walker, the linebacker from Georgia who lands with the Atlanta Falcons. I actually had him as my number 5 overall player. So to get him at 15, it was a great value in terms of where he was ranked versus where he was picked. It's also a great scheme fit. This is a team that was desperate for pass rushers. They needed more speed on defense. Getting Jaylen Walker, who's ready to go right away as an off-ball linebacker and as an edge rusher, really is going to bolster this defense that went heavy on the edge and at safety in this draft. Let's just stay in the SEC because there's a lot of those guys in this article. Jahad Campbell going number 31 overall to the Philadelphia Eagles. The rich get richer. We just saw Zach Bond have an all-pro breakout year with the Eagles in a role that is very similar to what Campbell can do. He could play off ball. He could play out in the slot as a rusher. He could play as a blitzer. He's a spy going against mobile quarterbacks. As long as he's healthy, he's someone that could be very, very special. We got to get Ashton Jeanty in here, the number 3 overall player on my board, and the final blue chip player on my board after Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. He is going to be the focal point of the Las Vegas Raiders offense under Chip Kelly, who wants to run the rock between the tackles. If you play fantasy football, dynasty football, Ashton Jeanty 1-1 this year's draft if you're adding rookies. Number 2, Will Johnson. He was my number 7 overall player. Somehow falls to number 47 because of the injury questions and concerns. I've heard the audio from the Cardinals room where they said, how the heck is this guy still on the board? I was wondering the exact same thing. As long as he's healthy, he could be a star in the NFL. Someone very similar to Trevon Diggs. He's great in zone coverage, and he's a playmaker. Last year, 2 picks. He took both back for pick sixes and touchdowns. And my final guy, if you've watched our draft coverage this year, you know my guy's Luther Burden III from Missouri. I had him as a top 15 player. He fell to the Chicago Bears. This is one of those I'm betting that the NFL was wrong and I was right on. Burden can be a factor in the Chicago offense. He'll start as a slot receiver. He was the best of any receiver in this class in terms of yards after catch ability, the way he sees the field, and his speed. At 206 pounds, he can run around you, he can run through you, and he is paired with a great offensive mind in Ben Johnson.
Oh, I love it. We'll dive into that just a little bit more. We welcome Ryan Clark to the show. What's up, RC? Glad to have you now. And I'll start with you, Ryan. The biggest difference you think that Ben Johnson will make on this offense now, they've solidified the O-line in a lot of good ways ahead of Caleb Williams and also given him so many options on that offense weapon-wise.
You know what's crazy is as much as they've given Caleb Williams options, I think what Ben Johnson can do to take some of the game off of Caleb Williams is where he'll be most impactful. Look at what they've done with building. Now you have Loveland, who's that Sam Laporta type tight end opposite Cole Kmet. On the outside, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, and Luther Burden. I love the fact that Matt talked about this guy with his run after the catch. If he comes out last year, I believe he has the ability to go even earlier. He had a year that was a little low on stats in Missouri, but when this guy came out of high school, he was one of the best players in the entire country, and he played that way in 2023. It's going to be run game first into play action to keep Caleb Williams from having to do everything that's above the X's and O's. He won't have to do too much. The big thing is about protecting him first and allowing Caleb Williams to play on time. And when you have these types of players on the outside, that allows you to do that.
Yeah, I think, look, with Ben Johnson now, with the kind of weaponry that he has at his disposal to really, allow, Caleb Williams to use, I think really it comes down to play design and then play sequencing. And I think that's where really you're going to see Caleb Williams really benefit because, look, there was many times last year under Shane Waldron that you wind up watching the tape and going, look, these wide receivers don't have very good spacing. I don't understand why that play call on second down followed the play call that they had on first down. That's Ben Johnson's specialty. And look, RC talked about the fact that, they want to protect Caleb Williams first and foremost. Well, how do you